Welcome everyone to our Tuesday night chat. We're super pumped to be able to share with you the results of our challenge weekend that we've just had. Now, I understand it was a very confusing title. Our 72-hour kit challenge that went for 48 hours. Well, give or take, given how long we were out up there on the camping. So if there's anyone that's watching who participated in the challenge from home, who went without the electricity and without running water for 48 hours, we'd love to hear from you, and congratulations. We actually did it the fun way, where we all got together and went camping out at St. Albans. So Barry on the call, Amber and Andrew, and Mids. I'm going to come around to each of you, and I want you to share with us, first of all, the highlights from the weekend. So let's start with Barry. And it might be something about the challenge, or it might be just something that you had that you enjoyed, that was really fun about getting together camping. So Barry, what was you could name more than one, but what was a highlight for you?
It's just good to get together with the group of, well, we're all like-minded, obviously. So yeah, good to get together with the group. Yeah, I like the archery. It makes me want to go out and buy my archery bow. So I'm thinking of doing that now. Yeah, but the demonstrations were good. The trying to light the fire with the flints and yeah, it was all good. Yeah, good practice for if we ever need it in an emergency.
Beautiful. Oh, that's three good things there. The archery, the being together, and lighting the fires. Hello,
Kelly,
Amelia.
can we jump in?
Let's
Amelia would like to say hello to everybody and what she's taken away from the weekend. And then she dropped her headset. So give her a minute. Come back, darling. Okay, she dropped it again. Give her a minute. That's why my chicken is called Dropped It. Runs in the family. Okay, here she is.
Hi.
Can you hold on to it?
Yeah.
Okay, Amelia, what did you like about the weekend?
Everything.
Oh, well. What did you learn on the weekend?
Stuff.
What's the stuff you really enjoyed the most?
Adventuring and exploring. And yeah.
What about the big wiggly widgety grub?
I won't do that, but yeah.
We've got a fun video, haven't we, of Simon eating the widgety grub. Yeah. that was something else. That was not on the challenge, let me say.
Anything else you want to tell the others you enjoyed?
I enjoyed being with everyone.
Yeah, you had fun with the kids?
Yeah.
It was lovely. It was lovely to have you there, and lovely to see all the kids getting on well together and being adventurous together and enjoying being outdoors and being kids.
Yeah. I really hope we can do it again.
Yay.
Definitely. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, Amelia. Thanks for sharing.
Hi, Amelia.
Jumping on. Do you want to add to that, Michaela?
Yeah, sure. Look, I have to add, let me find a place where it's not so blurry. Here we go, kinda. You know what, for me, the thing was just getting out there, and the minute we got there, it was just like family. And everything we did together, it just felt right. Learning about the fire, watching Andrew with the bow. That was my big thing. Yay, Andrew. I'm glad I didn't watch Simon eat the widgery grub, because that thing was so wiggly. Oh, that comes from the vegetarian. I'm like, oh, I might have to grill that. And Ella's stew for everybody, just amazing, showing the kids how to cook over the fire. Overall, it was just, yeah, from the heart. Everyone was just with it. And I love your post about the pooch because goodness me, ours. Mm, 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 mm. So we learned a lot, you know, and I just want to go out again next weekend.
That's great.
Yeah, it's like that, isn't it? When you just have such a fabulous time, you can't get enough. Yeah. And over to you, Emma and Andrew. What was your highlights?
I think the weather was great. Do you know, I look back 7 days beforehand, and Saturday and Sunday was like the picture. I used the weather map, which is like grey clouds and like really hard rain. I'm thinking, no. And then we get to Friday, and it's like, yeah, okay, looking pretty good. And Saturday, just the weather was just on our side for what we wanted to do on the weekend. And just an extension of what Mids was saying is, I knew some people, but I didn't know a lot of people that were there that weekend. I'm like, it was when we left, it was like hugs all around, and you know, in that short space of time, you've got a real connection with the people that were there, because we were there for a purpose. We were there to learn about who are your peeps. Are you capable of struggling? I mean, it wasn't like a real strict 48-hour, but no running water, no flushing toilet, showers. So it made us mindful, like we bought our own water. It made us mindful about watching our consumption during the day. Do we have enough to drink? Do we have enough to wash dishes with? And being a little bit smart. So if I've boiled some water, make sure we've got a little bit left, so at least we can rinse stuff out. It just to be more like, as soon as we got home, like taps on, showers going. I was in the shower 3 times longer than what I normally do, because of my hobbit feet. That comes from wearing Crocs for 3 days straight. And Andrew never had hobbit feet as bad as mine, because he had socks on. So it's, you really had to think
Hobbit
about
feet, Emma,
Yeah.
best reference ever. I love it.
not the
Well
hair,
done, girl.
though, just the black stuff, just manky stuff. The food. Oh my gosh, nobody was going hungry that weekend. They were just and the sharing. It's like, here, share this, and it just sort of started with Ella and just continued around the whole weekend. And I never got to, I would have loved to have seen Mids the water filtration. I only heard about it, but I would have loved to have seen that. And I hope that's something, you know, a future camp where she can actually demo that, because I'd love to see it in action.
I wish I took a photo of it because it was brilliant. The ladies hauled the water up from the river, and then had the bucket to filter the water into, and that's what we used to wash up. And I don't know what else you used it for, but it was brilliant. And then I actually we poured it into another drinking container at the end, and I drank the water, and it was tasty. It was like the water that we poured in. So, and I wasn't game at first, but I'm glad I did, because I'm like, well, this is good as any water that you would buy. And so it was such a good, like better than the little ones. You know, we want those little water filtrations, life straws. So this was still a Life Straw brand, but in the big carry buckets, containers, so that it ran through and could obviously drip through and give you much more water over time. So it was so brilliant. Thank you for that, for bringing that, Mids. And that's the one thing that I want to, you know, purchase next from my kit. Now, I know that you were writing notes. Andrew was telling me that you were taking notes of things that you would set up with your kit differently next time. What notes did you take, Andrew or Emma?
Emma's the note taker.
Oh, it's
On
more
that.
that's around the camping. Make sure you pack the small pergola tent cover, not just the frame. Both should fit in the box. Bring a collapsible bucket. Bring a dustpan and a brush. Bring an electric chainsaw, not a motorized one that makes less noise. Just tea cozy for a coffee teapot. we got these blow-up mattresses that make so much noise when you want to turn to the left or turn to the right.
Crinkle, crinkle.
So
Can I just mention, being one of the closer ones, I heard you guys turning all night long, and I was like, I wonder if they guys gonna get.
well, you know,
comfortable.
just so we know, family show, we were turning, right?
So I think all the differences with those is just that the ones that have the felt, right, and then they're not so
Yeah.
noisy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I add something there just in general for you guys? As somewhat seasoned campers, these air mattresses are so cold. The bigger you go, the colder you will be throughout the night. And I think that was Ella's problem when she was freezing at nighttime, because they accumulate all the cold air in it. It doesn't matter how many blankets you end up putting on it. We had a queen size air mattress, and it was the coldest thing I have ever slept on in my life.
Interesting.
So while air mattresses are convenient, once you put a hole in it, if you don't have the kit to repair it, airflow, all that kind of stuff, I think it is better to go with any of the camper stretchers or anything like that, because the cold air, once that hits your back and your kidneys, you're going to be cold all night long.
I noticed your stretcher mids. How do you cart it around? Does it pull apart?
Yes,
heavy is it?
it's a flat pack actually. So they're called the disco beds, I think, because the good thing is, and especially for tents like you and mine, Kelly, where we don't have the straight walls, so coming in, because they're stacked on top of each other, they become bunk beds. You can buy the extensions so that you can put them in between the individual beds, just to make it a bit higher for us adults, because I do have to admit there isn't much space between the normal height for us adults to like roll in. So we've got the extensions between the two beds. It lifts off. We also put like these lightweight hiking air mattresses in between. So they're coming actually out of our backout bags. They're puffed up with just a few breaths, and they're lightweight. Yeah, so we have our bunk beds, then we have the blow up mattress, those hiking mats, and then we have the sleeping bags. A better way to actually do it is that if you put the blow up mattress in your sleeping bag, it even preserves more heat. It's all about preservation of heat, of your body heat. Like I said earlier, we had a queen size mattress, which was about almost 30 centimeters high. Because of the height and weight difference between Dave and myself. Any normal mattress, he would have his ass on the ground while I'm sleeping on a mountain. And then when we bought the big one, I'd be like, I'm cold all night long, you know, because all the cold air goes in those mattresses and you're just freezing. Now, if you like to snuggle and be warm at nighttime, obviously bunk beds won't work because you're separated by the metal bars. But I would choose these bunk beds or stretchers over an air mattress any time of the day.
Okay, that's good. That's good to know.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next time I go camping with you, I want to try yours out.
I've actually got a video I might share in the chats that I watched a little while back exactly on this issue.
Yeah.
And you guys are spot on. This is one of the big sleeping hygiene issues of mattresses, air beds, that kind of stuff. And there's some real good solutions out there, but they tend to be expensive. So yeah, I'll share the little video. It's got some real good insights about sleeping bags and how they design sleeping bags. Often the sleeping bags have a lot of insulation on the top, but not on the underneath. And so they assume that you're going to have a good quality air bed mattress that's insulated underneath. Otherwise, you get exactly the same problem you guys are talking about. So I'll share that link. It's got some good insights in there and some products and that kind of stuff. Just it's not pushing anything in particular. It's just got some suggestions if you like.
Yeah, love that. Thanks.
That's good. Yeah.
Look, and Tim is completely right when it comes to prices. Those bunk beds we have are not cheap. But you could be forever buying sorry, video. You could be forever buying air mattresses. Once you have a hole in it or anything that deflates, well, how many times are you going to buy the same thing over and over and over, be cold at nighttime,
That's true.
and invest in a good, you know, bunk bed or stretcher or whatever it may be. When it comes to our sleeping bags, we have the canvas ones. I think they're just so much better than the only ones I could say is lightweight hiking sleeping bags, because they're designed for low temperature at a light weight. And again, like Tim was saying, they're not on the cheap side. So if you're okay with spending a little bit, getting good quality, either go lightweight hiking down feathers or go with the heavy canvas ones. It's worth the investment, I think.
I'm funny because I don't like sleeping bags, and I tend to make a bedroll, and a bedroll, when you make it right, you don't fall out of. But what I love about it is that I always make it with a sheet, and because hygiene, like you said, I just want to be able to wash the sheet and bring it home. It doesn't mean that it's the smallest thing, but when you have I have the lamb's wool on the mattress, and then make the bedroll with as many blankets as the season says to, and then layer them up, and it's easy way to go. I do want to share with you the screen, and we're just going to take a look at some pictures from the weekend, and might just jog us a bit of memories from the weekend. Let me just move this over a little bit. And Fred, there's our team. There's John with his knife, and
That's not a knife.
That's my husband eating the witchetty grub. Lovely. I can't even believe he did that, but he was so proud of himself eating that.
Look at the size of that thing.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah.
Now, this was the thing that I was most proud of, was the kids getting together and working out this structure all by themselves. They were just so industrious. I was really proud of them.
Can I just do a shout out to one of Ella's kids? I can't believe how many hours he actually spent on that structure, watching it all fall apart and just starting over and over
So much
and
patience.
over. That kid has so much patience. I was like, oh my God, he's amazing.
And this is the fire pit that they made all by themselves, dug into the sand, and
They made a few fire pits, those kids.
not just one. Yeah, look at that. And so they thatched this covering with mud. First of all, there's mud under those leaves, and straw, and then the leaves over the top. What a way to go.
The bamboo is perfect material.
Yeah.
That's my husband's making a pair of tongs out of bamboo.
I didn't see that.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, very clever. So this is your tent. Oh, that's our tent with the stove coming out of the top. And that's your shelter that you built, Michaela. Brilliant. There's the group. So much fun. And our awards. So if you go back into the group, you'll see all the awards and the reason. If you haven't read them, go back and have a read the reasons why you won those awards. I couldn't articulate it at the time, but I knew I would be able to do later. Breakfast. What a great spot, hey?
Very nice.
Oh, and now if I go back, I'll stop sharing and go back to some of the other pictures that you guys took. So now, so there's some of the highlights. Let's have a look at some of the things that we had to tick off the list as part of the challenge. So let me find that
Very much fun was on.
for you. We'll have a look and see how many things. I think you'll be surprised how many things that you were actually able to tick off the list. It's quite a few. I'll just share this screen. You've got the page there too, don't you, Emma?
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Okay. Now, let me make that bigger. All right, let me see if I can make this bigger.
Can I have that one more, Bobby?
All right, so we started off by going on a hike and observing the area around us. So I don't know if anyone actually put it in writing, anything that you observed, or if you want to share now anything that you particularly observed. I know we took lots of photos of the flowers, and it was really fun to compare that to the edible plants book and medicinal book, and see what in the environment was really beneficial to eat and to make medicine with. So there was quite a bit in the area. Does anyone want to say anything towards that?
I was
Really?
actually really surprised that we found chamomile. That was
Oh.
really strange.
Yeah, we should have made the tea.
You should have made some tea.
There wasn't enough. There was only one.
Oh yeah. Okay, you need a bit
We
more.
only had, we only had one flower, not enough for tea for the group, but that there was chamomile at all there was that was a surprise.
That was.
Tea bag.
Yeah. Love it.
We when we went down to close to the river, and the river people going to the right, we went off to the left because we were talking to John, and actually it was because of John that we were able to find two sets of footprints made by animals. So one was a deer
Oh.
or a pig, and then one was a wallaby, because they had like pat pat with a tail, and then again pat pat with a tail outlined in the sand. I would never have picked that up. So yeah, but Joanna mentioned, so that's
Well done.
to show what's around the area. And also when we were walking around and having a look at the different plants, edible plants, or if they were edible or medicinal, there was lots of evidence of scrubbed of pigs making, I don't know, somewhere to hide in the bush, in the dirt.
Looks like there might have been some wombats too, with the big holes that were there.
Yeah, well observed. Brilliant. Yeah, and we didn't come across any, but Uncle Cole mentioned that he saw a couple of red-bellied black snakes on the road, and one was quite dusty. Normally they're very shiny, but this one was quite dusty. But yeah, both of the days he saw them on the road. They weren't coming near us, of course, because I think we were making a little bit too much noise for them.
And the dogs really got them.
The dogs would have scared them off for sure. Yeah. And so we learned one way to help preserve and protect the environment. I know, Emma, you were onto that, and we rescued the wheelbarrow. That was helpful.
Yeah, that was very helpful.
So we made an improvement in the area by fixing up the compost toilet.
No, actually, Mids started that process. Good girl. I think we came
Yay.
in after you to empty it. And we're going, how come this is so light? How come it doesn't stink? And I'm going, Mids, she was here. She was asking for stuff. And you didn't tell us. You just said, oh, can I have that bin? Can I have that bucket? And you walked away. I don't know why now.
Just with that, guys, I think we should really appreciate how much damage the property actually sustained throughout the flood. I cannot believe that. I don't know how many of you guys saw the container, but it was literally lifted off its side, pushed into the trees, which shows us how much force of nature has actually gone through there. And it really showed us that Mother Nature has its own agenda with a
Mhm.
little bit help of Swoop, you know, Klaus added a little bit to that. But you know, there was a lot of areas in the property that were so flooded, and we still managed to make the best out of it, you know,
Yes.
really.
Yes. Yeah. And you might not have seen Mids, but some of the others saw the before and after pictures that I had of being in the property right before the floods for the other event. And yeah, it's quite astonishing, the transformation that it went under. And so Uncle Cole was so pleased that we were there, and especially with the children being there. You know, he said the land needs the children on it. And so yeah, thank you for raising that. But with all that sand, you know, it was perfectly deposited right in the middle of our campground so that we could have our fire, with all that sand, which made it super easy for extinguishing
Yeah.
fires and having the kids just enjoy playing in all that sand. And so it was such soft, beautiful sand. It was like being at the beach without being at the beach.
Yeah.
So learn 2 ways to start a fire. Well, I think Andrew showed us 17 ways to start a fire. That was lots of fun. So you can tick that one off several times over. And I didn't realize till the end that you had, we could have made those waterproof matches, Andrew. I would have loved to have done that.
That's right.
Yeah, no, so definitely we'll make that a thing. Now I personally can't tick off this one, the compass. I don't know if anyone else managed to use the compass, but
Yeah.
did anyone manage to use the stars to find direction or to recognize the stars?
Yeah.
I use the compass on my mobile, and
Oh,
it,
yes.
even though we didn't have any mobile service, it still worked okay.
Ah,
Oh,
very
right.
good. Very
Okay,
good.
that's good to know.
Now, I will say, we didn't really talk about emergency first aid, but on the way home, I listened to a program on 2GB about snake bites. And the thing to do with snake bites is no more tourniquets, no sucking out the poison, and none of that. It's just a pressure bandage
Yeah.
on the snake bite, working that pressure bandage up towards the heart. So that's really as easy as it is. And then once you do the pressure bandage, getting off to hospital to get that anti-venom as soon as possible. So
Dave actually did bring the snake bite kit on the walk.
Oh, did he?
Oh,
Yeah.
Very clever.
mhm.
As soon
Okay.
Auntie, sorry, what's her name?
Auntie
Auntie.
Lully.
No,
Yeah,
that's
as
what
soon
you
as she mentioned
do.
snakes, he ran off to the car and was like, I'm going to get this.
Brilliant. See, that's great. It's that's the best thing about camping in groups is someone thinks of something that someone else hasn't. So
Yeah.
lovely.
We
Now-
saw it.
And I think for us
Yeah.
in Australia, that should be a standard thing in our kits, to be honest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to be honest,
We
that's
saw a red belly black snake not far on the main road driving back towards St Albans.
Mm, mhm.
No way.
It just going across the road.
Might have been the same one Uncle Cole saw.
Hmm.
Now, do you want to, Emma, talk us through the CPR? Because that's the one thing that we talked about doing that we didn't get to.
Oh, okay. Just very, very quickly, because I've got my first aid certificate and I had to renew my CPR certificate this year. We've got there's this thing called DRS ABCD, Doctors ABCD. So where CPR actually comes in, that is you come across somebody who's collapsed or whatever. So the first thing is D, danger. Where is the person? Have they collapsed in front of traffic? Have they collapsed in their home? If there's danger there, clear it. Make sure you're safe first. Clear it for the person. Response, R is response. Rub their shoulders, rub their hands. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? And then S is send for help. A is that you want to check their airways. So if they're on their back, you want to sort of tilt their head slightly and just check their mouth to see if they've got any food or if their tongue's in there. Don't you stick your finger in there, because if the person is not conscious, grab their hand and clear out whatever's blocking, if it is, out of their mouth first. Just tilt their head to the side. And then once it's clear, get down as close as you can to their ear and work out, are they breathing? If they're not, at that stage C, that's when you commence CPR. Now, what you were talking about in the days of snakebite, you know, you don't suck out or anything. It's actually changed. It used to be 15 compressions and then 3 breaths. Today it's 30 compressions. So it's like that sort of connection with your hand, just in the middle of the sternum here. So it's 30 quick, deep compressions and then 2 breaths. So that's C. And then D is if you need to use the defibrillator, which is pretty much automatic. It'll tell you what you need to do and how you need to set up. But yeah, basically if someone has called DRS to send for help, you keep going until help arrives, and you don't even stop when they come until the emergency people say, okay, we'll take over now. That's a real very quick DRS ABCD.
Beautiful. Thank you. It's always good to know that someone in your group is up on
Yeah,
the latest.
I hope we never have to use it.
Yes, hope we never have to use it. Yep. Excellent. And did anyone have a defibrillator in our group? Not me.
No.
There was one that's in Albans, wasn't there? I remember seeing it. Oh, near the ferry there was one I saw.
Yeah, there's about 2 in the area. If you go Google Maps, yeah.
And did you notice on every property, out the front of every property, there's a fire extinguisher, and some properties have an emergency box. So I didn't go to see what was actually in those emergency boxes, but most of those properties along the front there, next to their letterbox, had a fire extinguisher and an emergency box. So yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Welcome, Gail, who's joined us.
Hi, Gail.
So, Gail, before I share screen again, do you want to share any highlights that you had from the weekend? Oh, there you go. Gail saying I have my advanced CPR and always carry a fire blanket. There you go. Well done. Well done. Okay.
Sorry, I was trying to work out how to. I'm using my phone because I couldn't get on my computer, and I couldn't work out how to get back. Sorry. Oh, these bloody machines! I tell you, they're all different.
Now, Gail, you were a real trooper because you were getting ready to come and then tripped over and hurt your knee and ended up at the hospital. So you missed the first night.
I know, bummer.
So what did you enjoy? Well, by the time you got there and you were an absolute trooper going for a swim in that brown water, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah,
I couldn't believe it either.
I think that was my highlight, actually. I always find, when you have a swim in any moving water system, it's quite invigorating and it's very grounding.
I was nervous for you because I thought that could be a dangerous situation, but
well, I'm an ex-surf lifesaver, have been for probably 30 years. So I'm pretty good at picking where to swim and not know all the rules and all that sort of stuff. So I think I'm pretty safe.
Beautiful. Well, if I hadn't been fetching water at the time, I would have come down and videoed you. So
yeah, no, I'm I guess also dealing with horses and having my advanced CPR and all of that, I'm very safety aware and safety conscious before I do anything. Doesn't matter what it is. So yeah, I made sure I went and checked it all out and walked through the water, made sure there were no branches and trees and all that sort of, and also checked out the depth and all that sort of thing before I decided to swim.
Oh, well done. Well done. That's exactly what needs to happen. I don't know what's happening with my video at the moment. Apologies. So I'm going to go back and share screen. And we're going to have a look at some of these other things that we were able to tick off. So we talked about the edible plants and medicinal plants. I'm pretty sure we picked out more than 6 kinds. Agreed?
Yes, agreed.
Now, Emma, you mentioned 2 kinds of animal tracks, and then we had the dog, so that's 3.
Mm,
I didn't see any fish, but did you hear any birds? I felt like the first night I went to sleep listening to owls.
I didn't
Yeah.
The
Stayed
match-
awake. I was awake quite a lot the first night.
hear.
Now we did we learn any knots apart from, because we did learn how to make the paracord, and that uses some of these knots. But I know that the kids, when they were making their structures, they used a few knots. But I wasn't involved in that. Was anyone else?
That's not a proper knot. That was just for the littlies to realize you can just tie it together.
Oh,
We
okay.
call it the mitts knots, but it's not a proper knot.
Brilliant. Okay. So we did leave the campsite beautiful. I was really impressed. There was not one speck of garbage when we left. So tick,
That's great.
tick. Okay. So did anyone get together with your team or family and talk about where would you go in the event of an emergency? And you may have done that in the past, but sometimes those things can change depending on what kind of emergency you're anticipating.
No.
3 places, yeah. One place is that we can go to our niece's place, who's up at Upper Crowlow.
Yes.
Second place is your place, Kelly.
Yes.
And our new 3rd place is Mid's place.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking.
Really? I wonder why.
So I'm about to become Michael's neighbor. So I'm going to make Michael number 1, and then Gail, you're probably the next closest, and then Emma and Andrew. If I had to head your direction, I'm coming there.
Yeah, of course.
Perfect.
Always.
Yep.
Perfect.
You're welcome.
It's beautiful, and that's what these groups are all about. And Tim, you'll have to join us so that we can include you in our emergency plans.
I was
One
thinking,
thing I want to say, Michael, go ahead.
yeah, I was thinking on that, because we rely so much on GPSs and phones and stuff, and I don't know, I think I'd be pretty hopeless if I suddenly didn't have anything. Should we have, maybe you guys have already done this, maybe I'm behind, but should we have written down on hard copies our addresses, names, numbers, in
Oh,
case
yeah,
we
for
lose
sure.
completes, reception, contact, whatever, just so we at least go,
Yeah.
okay, I'd know how to get
Yep.
here if I had no backup. And then we all like have this
Definitely.
kind of emergency piece of paper sort of situation.
Yeah, and
Yep.
I would add to that, Michael, getting a topography map which shows all the contours, and then we could plot on a topography map, where everyone lives, and then you could kind of work out how many kilometers between that point and that point. And that would be a fun exercise.
I was just thinking I hadn't learned a new word today, but now I have topography.
Excellent.
Actually,
To be honest, if I didn't have Waze, or like how I call it, Wazzy, if I
Yeah.
didn't have Waze, I couldn't even find my way home. And that's really scary.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
when was the last time that we needed a map to tell us how to get home?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. It,
Well, that's a whole workshop, that one.
yeah. Can I share something
Yeah, go Tim.
to
Tim.
contribute to that? So the Ride Freedom Community Group, and in fact, a number of the other community groups that I've set up, we have a resource. We've got a website. It's got all links and resources on it. But one of the initiatives across, for instance, the Ride group, because we have about 100 families in that group, is we have a documented process of doing exactly what you're talking about. We have like a template, and it's a physical copy with everyone's addresses, name, number, and the resources that they have. And then we've mapped it out on like the topography, you're talking about the maps, with a 3-kilometre radius and grouped people into cells. And each of those cells has worked to know and choose one person whose home is a go-to home, so that if there's ever issues or dramas, they can walk. They've pre-walked to that person's home, so they know who to go to and where to go, even if it's night, and they know they can get there without a car. And it's all been pre-organised and set up, and that's happened in Ryde, and it's happening now, and some of the Sutherland groups have set up as well. So if you want some resources to kind of step by step get organised in that way, I've got resources that you can access, and that it's pre-done already. So
Love that.
Yes, please. Amazing. Thanks, Tim.
Well done, Tim. That is really fantastic.
it's not, the community groups have been asking for it, and we've pulled it all together. So it's been a collaborative effort, but it's good. Instead of you guys reinventing the wheels or anything, we can just use the resources that we're already using. So that'll be fine.
Yeah, it's very good.
But my wheel is square. Where does, you know?
That's no problem. It'll be a bumpy ride though.
Fantastic. Thank you, Tim, for that. I'm so glad you're on tonight. So we absolutely cut firewood in a sustainable way, and the kids had a great time doing that. I think Simon has still sore hands from cutting a lot of firewood. So, and also those hand saws. That was so good. We've got that.
Yeah, they're really good.
Michaela doing that. Okay, now I'm skipping right over that cloud formations one because we did not see a cloud in the sky that whole Saturday. That was beautiful. Demonstrate 2 methods for purifying drinking water. Well, we had the one that Mids had, and then we could probably talk through the others with the rocks and the charcoal and sand. So I'm doing it in the wrong order: rocks, sand, charcoal, and that would purify your drinking water. We should have tried.
Very
that,
important. Yeah, very important that we run it through natural fibers. So it has to be cotton or anything like that.
Well, and there wasn't a whole lot of rocks in that area. Otherwise, we could have done that as an activity with the rocks and then sand, and then got charcoal from the fire and made a water purifier.
I looked for rocks and I went for a long walk, and everything was covered in sand.
Yes.
So, whoops.
Yeah. All right, we can tick the hike. I don't know that we can carry a nutritious meal for the hike because it wasn't that long. Now, I don't know that we can tick that one, either fainted or in shock, and the first aid for heat exhaustion. So let's list next one. Okay. All right, let's move to the next one. We talked about that one, the people that we could contact, and share an aspect of the emergency preparation that you have implemented as part of your plan. Demonstrate how to build 2 kinds of fires. Well, we actually saw different varieties of fires when Simon laid the logs on the outside, and we saw how that kept the fire burning on the inside, and the smoke just beautifully left from the middle of the fireplace and pretty much stayed out of our eyes. But then the next day we just chucked the big logs on top of each other, and that was really
just kept it all contained.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was really interesting to see that. We didn't get to sharpen a knife, unfortunately.
No.
And I don't know if karaoke is the same thing as teaching a song or game to the
You got to give Barry 10 points for trying.
Yeah. That was lots of fun, Barry.
Yeah,
It was.
I do have a nice video of Gabriel singing, but I know I took advantage of the golden mic a few times.
Yeah, I didn't really get much of an introduction to the equipment. Otherwise, if I brought an AV lead, I could have plugged it into the Bluetooth speaker.
Next time, Barry, next time.
Next time, okay.
We can make our own music out in the wild.
Uh,
So we did our emergency shelters. I feel like we did the tarp. We did the kids made the lean-to.
Yeah.
Is there a third one? We had the what was that oven called that she cooked the goulash in? Was that a Dutch oven?
She called it a crack pot.
I don't think it's a crackpot, but
Maybe a crock pot.
Well, I love it. Okay, so there's the more ways that we can tick that shelter one off. A fire starter kit. So Andrew, you have the most amazing fire starter kit, and I can see what I need to add to mine now after looking at yours. Okay. Michaela, you had the one of heating up clothing without burning them. Did anyone use a fishing rod or make a makeshift fishing rod? No, we didn't find bait.
I had one.
Talk about collecting water.
You could collect water with a tarp, sort of strung out overnight, so that the dew collects in the morning.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's a very clever one.
Plastic bag around leaves.
Yes.
Mm.
Yep, and also that's right. I didn't mention the lighting a fire using a plastic bag with water in it. So
Yeah, Simon tried that, but it didn't work so great.
you have to be there quite a while, I think.
Yeah, everything's got to be perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, for it to line up.
Yeah.
That lighting a fire with a bow is quite difficult, isn't it?
That's a last resort.
A lot of effort, and you got to have the right wood too. The other thing.
Yeah, but I'm glad because I told Michaela that I thought that was, we weren't going to be able to show her that, but both of you did. You and Simon both showed her how that comes together.
Yeah. You should know the
Thank
principle.
you,
it's just a
loved
matter
it.
of practicing.
Insects. Did anyone? We weren't really bothered by mozzies or flies.
I beg to differ.
Oh
I've
no.
got a huge
Yeah, me too.
last day, a horsefly bit me,
Mark
and
said.
I went up like this yesterday at work.
Yeah.
I wanted to scratch. I'm like, don't scratch, don't scratch.
Wow.
It's going down now.
Yeah.
They were huge though, weren't they? I thought they were bees for a
Mm.
while, and I wasn't trying to kill it, but then I noticed and I was like, oh,
Horseflies are even
they're
bigger.
huge. Yeah. Okay. Now there was lots of moments where we had help or we helped someone or they helped us. And I thought that was really beautiful. That's the whole beautiful thing about community. And then there was a number of items that were repaired in starting with Amelia's glasses. Well done, Michaela.
Thank you. We have lots to sprue.
Yes. And we had those tiny little screwdrivers that fit it. But, yeah.
Did Raquel manage to repair their tent? There was a big hole in the mesh.
She did. She sewed it up.
Oh, good on her. Well
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
Yeah, Raquel actually used the fishing gear to sew up the tent.
Oh, gosh.
That was impressive. Hey.
Yeah,
So
that
she's
was
Oh.
using MacGyver.
yeah, MacGyver.
And you know what was another highlight for me was my video's gone again. Was having Ella be the masseuse.
Yeah.
Wasn't
I
she
don't know
great?
about the
missed
olive
that one.
oil.
I didn't get the treatment, but I thought that was impressive anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another highlight was the emergency rations of camembert and cheeses and dips. And,
And halloumi.
yeah,
Yeah, that was and pistachios and Yeah.
strawberries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what were those kids' desserts you tried, Kel?
you know what? I realized I made a mistake. The biggest mistake that I made, I had ice cream cones with marshmallow, Mars bar and then another marshmallow and a wafer wrapped in alfoil. And the biggest mistake that I made was trying to cook them myself. If I just handed them out, then you could have all managed your own, and you might have had more success at eating it.
That's it.
Burn
They
it.
were
Good
lovely.
effort.
They were nice. Really nice.
So, okay, now let's just finish off with something that we could do in our next camp, an improvement that we could make in the next camp. And I'm getting my pen to take notes.
If we could have, you had so many things for each of the different levels, and we're sort of realizing now, oh, we forgot to do this and we forgot to do that. Could we, in amongst all the fun, could we have maybe a bit of a structured day so that everyone knows beforehand, can we do these 4 activities? Breakfast at 8, let's do 4 activities between 10 to 12, lunch 12 to 1, and then another 4 activities between, I don't know, 1 to 3, afternoon tea, maybe get 1 or 2 in, and then the evenings everybody's.
That's okay. I'm glad for
Just a bit
that
more structured.
feedback, because it was a little bit of a toss up to whether to have it be relaxed or very structured. So yes, so thank you for that. So I think that I think the more structured that it is, then people can decide to participate or not to
Yeah.
participate.
Yeah, and you make them sort of, learning how to start a fire. So if it's an activity that's going to be maybe 15 minutes, I think people could, that'd be something that they do. But if it's something that requires a bit more effort or involvement, it could potentially be half an hour, 45 minutes. And like, yeah.
Yeah.
But at
Okay.
the same time, learning. So, I mean, I would have loved to have done the knot tying. We could have had that going. And with you sort of having leaders to say, okay, not tying over here with Dave, Michaela's going to be doing the water thing here. And then maybe they'll do it again for those who missed out. And that 10 minutes for an activity where someone could be showing something. Yeah.
Yes, because if we do that, then we'll ring the bell for people to move on to the next activity.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that could work, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. All right. Any other suggestions?
While we did fine with our truckloads of gear, wouldn't be interesting if we were able to survive for a few days with just what we could carry.
You want to go big survival, not glamping.
No, just to see how you survive with what you can pick up and carry yourself. And just a backpack loaded, and yeah. I mean, my original suggestion was to go to the Great Northern Walk, and there's camping grounds along the way. So you do a bit of a bushwalk, and then you find the camping ground at the end, and you stay there overnight, and then you walk again the next day.
Mhm.
So yeah, so it'd be interesting to see how we survive with just what we could carry.
Okay.
I mean, what we did was great, but just a bit of a variation.
Okay. I think that one I wouldn't try and attempt that with my kids, but
Get some sleds on you with your dogs, and
all right. Thank you for that suggestion.
Yeah, you do a short one.
Yeah.
first,
Yeah.
get used to it.
Yeah.
Lovely. Anything from you, Gail? What would you like to see?
Oh, I was actually hoping if I'd been there the first day, I've got a great app that identifies plants because I use it here for all my horses and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you can point it at anything and it'll tell you what it is and its
Little
origin and
section there,
what you
isn't
can
it?
do with it, and whether it's
Yeah, section
medicinal,
for
whether
it,
it's
yeah.
edible, how to cook it. Yeah, it's great.
Does that work without internet though? Because I would imagine that would be.
I had internet.
Did you? Okay, good. So you would have liked to done more
'cause I was-
plant identification.
Yeah, because I was with Telstra. Yeah, I just missed that first day, and yeah, if I hadn't have been, that's all good. I think what you all did was great. I just missed it.
Yeah. Yep. Understood.
Mm,
Good.
mm.
What's for you, Michaela? What would you like to see? Oh,
You sure?
still there?
Where to start? There's
Where
a
to
big
start?
difference.
You've got a
Yeah.
few.
Well, I agree with Barry. If you want to buck out, you buck out. If you want to go glamping, you go glamping. And with the setup that we have, what is really buck out and what is glamping, you know? I think it comes down to what you have available. But I'm with Barry, you know. Yeah, fair enough, the kids got to struggle, but at the same time, isn't that what we want to teach them?
I think
know,
it's an
walk-
emergency exit, Michaela, isn't it? Like what happens in a real
Yeah.
situation if we have to exit our home and literally, shit, we've got to go, we've got an hour, we've got to get out now.
But
What do we pick up and take?
you're going to have different.
Exactly. And I have to say, guys, a karaoke machine with lights everywhere is not on my buck out list. Sorry, but it's not.
It's on the
And so
glamping
I'm
list.
And so neither is your tent mids, I have to say.
Yeah, it's not. And
Sorry,
you see,
that's a glamping
have-
tent, that one.
oh yeah, hell yeah. And that tent will not be coming if I'm going bugging out. And you see, the thing is that we have our backpacks, which are our buck out packs. But I said to Dave that we're not going to use a full-on buck out bag for this if it's turning into a glamping or camping exercise, because I don't
No, you're
want
never
to
going to use it.
No, it's not that, Gail. It's I don't want to use our life straws. I don't
No,
want to
I
use
agree.
our life. I don't want to use our backpacks for an exercise where we're not doing the real thing. Because if the tents break, if anything breaks, what we have organized now, buck out bags, I don't want to do that right now. We spend too much money on our bobs, and if we're just doing a in-betweener, I'm not pulling out my bob. No
Can
way.
I just say this, that if you guys want to do more of a survival thing, because we just did go without electricity and go without water, running water. If you want to do something a bit more hardcore and just go with your survival kit, then I would suggest do that with a registered survival instructor. I'm not insured to be able to take a group out and manage that kind of a risk situation. And so that's something that's a little bit more above my pay grade, and you would need to go with someone who can actually manage that with all the skills and knowledge and insurance to cover anything that would go wrong.
But look, this is where it comes down to, as individuals, as family, as a group, whatever it wants to be. Sorry, still doing washing. Have to hang up the washing from the glamping, you know. This is where it comes down to. Like, to me, this was not, I'm sorry to say it, this was not a bug out. If we really would have stuck to our bug out, it would have been a completely different experience. And this is why I put into the group, what is a bug out? The minute we bring all our fancy gear with us, it's no longer a bug out.
Yeah, and this was an
know?
intention. The intention for this was not to be a bug out. And it was organize your 72-hour kit, yes, but the rules for the challenge was only 2 rules, or 3. Go without electricity, go without running water, and go without your bed. So other than that, I think we anticipated doing the challenges, but that's all the rules there was. And so the degree of difficulty was then up to everyone individually as to how you wanted to attack it.
Can I just add something? Depending on what your emergency is, what we did might be fine, but everyone's got to have their own plan on a different sort of emergency. So what you do in the case of a natural disaster might be different to what you do in the case of if we go into martial law, for example, or if we have some other sort of disaster. So you're going to have different plans, and with each plan, you might have, your plan might be to go one way, but that might not be accessible. So you might have to have an alternate plan with the same sort of disaster.
Yeah.
So
I think you're right, Barry. I think a good example at the moment is look at the families with floods. Now, I wonder how many of them had an emergency exit plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But just use an example of martial law. Your major roads might be blocked. You may not be able to take your vehicle with you or your gear on it. So you might only be able to take what's on your back. You might want to go and find some bush somewhere. Everyone's got to have their own plan for where they live and what they've got.
Ellie, that might be a good subject actually for us all to put together some different scenarios, because that's what I guess where I'm at is, well, what could happen, and then how do I apply that to my personal situation because of where I live? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, what could happen? Okay, as Barry said, martial law, flood, internet completely down, electricity gone, no water.
Yeah, if you live in
disease.
Disease. Yeah.
If you live in a unit in the city, your plan's going to be totally different to if you're out in a property like where Gail is.
Yeah.
So everyone's got to have their own plan. And as Tim said before, we got our little cells and we organise it with our cells of people.
Yes, and I think that's a good place to have that conversation is with those that you would make those plans with. It's really good in a forum like this to throw ideas out there, but when it comes to creating the formula, it really has to be an individualized and group discussion with those that are involved. So I just want to finish up. Yeah, go.
Hal, can I just say also, it would be interesting for everyone to be aware, I think, and share with all of us, our group, what's happening in other countries, because there's a lot of countries that are way ahead of us as far as where they are down the elitist calendar of events. So, perhaps we can learn from stuff that other groups are doing internationally.
Pakistan is being absolutely hardcore flooded at the moment. It's insane, and you don't even on the news, and it's like what's going on? Buildings.
So you need a raft, an ark.
Yeah, like it's you can't even think about what's going on there. It's not mentioned anywhere in mainstream news, barely.
Wow.
And as you know from my accent, I like to add to Michael's comment there that Germany is just going down the drain. And it's
what are they experiencing, Mids?
Oh, look, they're calling it the let's freeze for the Ukraine. Yeah, as a reference to, well, we're just gonna go along with whatever the new world order is have in store for us, and we're gonna go and freeze for Ukraine. It's going into winter, and people literally don't know how to heat their homes.
Wow.
Are there some extreme laws that you can only use the heater at a certain temperature for a certain time, and if you go above, you can literally be arrested? Something.
Yes, it's 19 degrees for any official office spaces. They've been restricted to 90 degrees, 90 degrees per office, and no homeowner is allowed as of the 1st of October to have any lights on outside their home. That's the law now.
So things like candles and solar lights and things like that, they can still use?
Yes, but they cannot use anything that is electricity related.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
you have
Wow.
a house and you have any outdoor lights, they have to be turned off. And there is companies that are now handing out blankets and jackets to the office workers because it's been restricted to 19 degrees and it's going into winter in Europe. So yeah, well, go figure.
That explains why you want us to practice doing a bit more hardcore camping.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So you know what, guys? Rocks on a fire is your best bet to keep warm in your tent, in your sleeping bag, in your, jacket, in whatever, because Europe is heading for a very, very, very tough winter, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's a wake up call, isn't it?
Oh, big time. It not only is it the heating for the individuals, but it's affecting companies. I recently read a report where I'm still waiting for verification through the village, but bakeries are shutting down because they cannot afford the electricity bill.
Yeah.
Go figure.
Wow.
Not to mention what's happening in China.
So,
actually, Mids, can I ask Mids something quickly?
Yeah,
Mids,
please.
you mentioned about not wanting to use your bug out bag because you didn't want to use the once-off devices.
Yep.
You're worried. That stuck with me, and I wondered if that's a good idea, because if the device or whatever it is going to break or expire or something, don't you want to use it and test it before you get out into a situation? If it breaks, you're stuffed?
No, because I have all the second or third backup in place, which is not the glamorous side of it. So if I say I do not wish to use our lightweight tents, if the tents break while we're out, we use garbage bags. So I will be going from glamping, because I consider a tent of any sort a glamping item. If I cannot use that, you'll rough it, and I will be roughing it with my family. I will be teaching my children how to use a garbage bag instead.
Well, why wouldn't you use something like a tarpaulin or like hoochie or something like that? They're really
because
small,
it's a weight. Yes, because it's a weight issue. We all carry those items in our bags, but only for the adults, because we have young children. Yeah. And those children will not be able to carry the weight of it. It's only 10% of your body weight that you can carry. So for any adult with multiple children, you have to take into consideration what can they carry. The smaller the children, the more weight you as an adult have, right? So we have all these backup options, but I would not put that on my children.
You shouldn't need too much in your, I don't know how much stuff is in your bug out bag. The heaviest thing is always water and food.
Correct. But you'd be surprised how quickly it adds up.
Yeah.
You add your shovels, your
I wouldn't
survival
take
gears. But that's what I mean. You add your your survival gear, even just the knives, the proper survival knives, or any multi-tools, blah, 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 blah. It adds up in weight. My weight of my backpack exceeds the 10% of my body weight.
Mine would definitely, and I would be happy for that, because I'd rather have it in there than not. But I know what you mean about not using, because I have like emergency blankets, your bivy bag, which I would only use, or a paracord bracelet, which I'd only use in emergency. And they just stay in my 72-hour kit, and they come with me when I go. For instance, all of that came with me on this last camping trip, because it doesn't leave my my backpack. But my
But
question
Tim, just to add to your question, as an adult responsible for 2 small children, who is going to carry the water?
Yeah, well, primarily you, but
Correct.
within reason, you shouldn't have to carry a huge volume of water. Like, I'm
No,
not sure how
but
many liters.
you add 1 kilo or 1 liter of water per person, and it adds up really, really quickly, weight-wise.
The kids should
And
be
you've
able to
got to
carry at least, how old are your kids? I mean, it depends on how old the kids are. Kids can carry 500
10.
mils, no?
Correct, 10 and 13. But you got to remember, our generation of children is designed to fall into place with what Swar defines of you be happy and or nothing. So
yeah, but
as
now's
much
the time
we
to
love
teach
our
them to
children,
carry stuff.
yeah,
Get them
but
out
it's
there
not
learning
the
to carry
case.
it.
But I'm going to leave that conversation now, and I'm just going to wrap it up with the next camp that we do. I'm suggesting there's a lot of people who would love to come on a camp like what we just did, and I'm thinking January would be the next best time to do another camp, which I would suggest that it would be similar to the one that we just did, except for, as Emma said, more structure, so that we could get through. And these camps are really more designed for us to learn skills in a fun way. Okay, I'm not about doing anything frightening or hardcore. It's just develop the skills in a fun way because we can. We're not under pressure. So, but the more skills that we have will invite more people to learn and also to be involved. So with that being said, having maybe January as the next camping event. Was there a question I was going to ask with that?
The question is, Kelly, can we do it earlier? I love to.
Yes, I would love to. I only have constraints around myself around all the other events that we're putting on between here and Christmas, and then that kind of will fill up very quickly. We've got a few permaculture and honey workshops. We'll put on a sprouting workshop. We've got a few more canning to do. And then, so that's why I'm thinking we have a few things to get through on my end. And then January will be open for that. But, you know, if that's something that you want to arrange, Mids, is another camping, you know, this side of the end of the year, then yeah, let's talk about it. Make something happen.
Sounds good. And before we all go, Kelly, I just want to thank you for putting on this weekend. I think while there were rewards handed out to everybody, the biggest reward really goes to you. So, you know, thank you.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Yeah,
and
well done.
yeah, and thanks for being involved, because without you, it's just me, and with just me, it's not a community. So
I think that's what was my special thing about all of it was the community.
yeah,
it definitely was a fun weekend.
And Simon eating this wiggly grub. So special for him. Ooh,
Yeah, he gets the award. How's his tummy, Kel?
well, I don't know. He actually said it was all the sugar that he ate that did him in the next day. Yeah.
So it didn't taste like chicken. I thought everything tastes like chicken.
Yeah, he said he wasn't game to do it again. That was enough.
So in the next one, would you be looking at the same place or a different place?
I don't know. I think that's an open question. I think what it comes down to is a place that would have us allowed us to bring dogs. I think that was the keen thing that everyone said, well, you know, we needed to bring our fur baby. So that kind of puts a little bit of, you know, narrows it down a little bit.
Oh, my fur baby is going to go on to high school training after that exercise. Ooh.
School for dogs. Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, add a muzzle into your bug out bag.
Yeah, and Gail's
Nah.
saying that maybe we can make it a 4 or 5 day camp. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, longer if it's in school holidays and people have got the time.
Yeah. Why not?
Because that way there could be leisure time.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. And all right, well, let's keep an eye on that and keep an eye on the weather, and hopefully we can have a bit of a summer that is a repeat of the weekend that we just had. But I think that we had the best weekend of the year because even though it was beautifully sunny, it wasn't too heavy that people weren't getting burnt. So yeah, it was brilliant.
Yeah, so Gail and I stopped in at the St Albans pub on the way back, and they said it was their first weekend open since July. And they said at the bar we would have been standing in waist deep water.
Total
that's-
devastation. It was
wow.
total devastation. It was so nice to be able to bring them custom. They were so grateful that we were there to buy a beer.
That is a good point. And actually, having said that, we know that the fun police come out in the school holidays. So it might have to be, you know, I did this one purposely not in the school holidays because usually it's, you know, some restriction or some crap weather happening during the school holidays. So yeah, we might think that one through. Yeah. Beautiful. Well, thanks everyone for your contributions. It's been an awesome conversation, and as always, good to be with you all. And thanks especially Tim for that excellent link, and Kim for jumping on. Kim, is there anything that you wanted to add to that conversation? We haven't heard much from you tonight. Oh, you're on mute. No.
Just got to find the mute button.
There we are.
There you go.
Hello, everyone. How you going?
Hey, Kimmy.
Look, I unfortunately had a daughter doing year 12, and I've had a death and another person in ICU, so it hasn't been a good time for me. Unfortunately, I would love to go. I think about the fact that what we all need to do is be able to look at what's in our environment and be able to utilize it. So whether it be glamping, whether it be camping, however you want to do it, we should be able to get out and try and look for food and all that sort of stuff out in the natural environment, and try and do what we can in the way of survival with what we have. And that would be a good thing because it's really important, and we may have to get to that at some point with the way things are going.
Well said. Thank you for that.
Thanks for giving me the opportunity, and I'm glad you all had a wonderful time.
Yeah. Lovely. Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, but right before we finish off, I'll share my screen with you one more time. I've got something that I want to show you. Let me just jump over to it first of all. Give me 1 second to bring it up. Was open. Okay. So this will be coming out in the email. Let me just share my screen now. Okay, I have the Gold Award certificate to Emma Rhoda. Well done for completing the awards from the challenge. I have one for Andrew and Michaela, and I have to stop there because I started writing these and that's as far as I got, but they will be coming out to each of you for completion of the challenge, and so I'll get those out into the email for you, and also I'll be emailing out the details of all the prizes. And shout out to our sponsors. Let me just go to that screen. Oh no, I'll have to stop share and reshare because you won't see it otherwise. To our sponsors for the event, we had Ian Thomas from the Gourmet Garden, and he was sharing a $100 gift voucher for a course with him. Now let me just turn to that. We had an hour coaching session with Nathan Maingard from South Africa, who does beautiful breath work coaching and personal coaching. We had a one-day survival course. Michaela won that with Jake Kassar. We had, yes, the 5-day morning method jigsaw course. That's with me. And so we'll arrange that. Emma and Raquel won that also. The vegan protein shake in vanilla, chocolate or strawberry, that went to Sarah. And the bottle of immunity from Pure Heart Alchemy. So big shout out to those guys who do a beautiful job with their oils. Check those out. You can click on any of those to find out more about each of those prizes. And then we had the 2 squeezy bottles of honey from Bailey's Bees. One went out to Andrew and the other went out to Barry. So congratulations, those prize winners. And thank you to our sponsors of those. They do an amazing job, and I recommend checking out these programs. So jump in, especially have a look in any of those areas that you feel like you'd like to develop yourselves, and they're my recommendations. Also, if you go to my website, I do have a recommended page here. And in this recommended page, there is a link to right down the bottom to the Survival Supplies Australia. So if you're thinking about getting anything for your kits, click onto that link and that will take it through to an affiliate. That will just helps me to do what I do here in running this channel. And also I have some suggestions for what to put into a bug out bag. All of these products I use for myself. And then also check out the events and workshops going on. There's lots of events coming on, and also some bush survival skills happening in Western Australia in November. So really fun things happening. Stay tuned and join us every Tuesday here, 8 o'clock. Next week we'll have a guest speaker come on, and I think one of those guest speakers will be Pat Collins, who will talk to us about natural herbs and healing and remedies. So lovely. Thanks for everyone for coming on again, and see you all again very, very soon.
Thanks, Kelly.
Thanks, Kelly.
Night, everybody.
Thanks, Kelly.
See ya.
Bye.
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 Yeah.
Kelly recommends these nutritious fast foods for your grab-and-go bag. This vegan, non-GMO, gluten and dairy-free 72-hour pack provides you with loads of energy to keep you full for longer. Grab your Summit Special at myselfreliance.com.au and pick up a large protein shake, free with your kit.